Chapter 13 of Lives of Poor Boys Who Became Famous. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Pamela Krantz. Lives of Poor Boys Who Became Famous by Sarah Knowles Bolton. Sir Titus Salt. I spent a day with great interest in visiting the worsted mills and warehouses at Saltaire, just out from Bradford, England, which cover about 10 acres. The history of the proprietor, Sir Titus Salt, reads like a romance. A poor boy, the son of a plain Yorkshire man. At 19, in a loose blouse, he was sorting and washing wool. A little later, a good salesman, a faithful Christian worker, and the superintendent of a Sunday school. At 33, happening to be in Liverpool, he observed on the docks some huge pieces of dirty-looking alpaca wool. They had long lain in the warehouses, and becoming a nuisance to the owners, were soon to be reshipped to Peru. Young Salt took away a handful of the wool in his handkerchief, scoured and combed it, and was amazed at its attractive appearance. His father and friends advised him strongly to have nothing to do with the dirty stuff, as he could sell it to no one, and if he attempted to make cloth from it himself, he ran a great risk of failure. Finally he said, "I am going into this alpaca affair right and left, and I'll either make myself a man or a mouse." Returning to Liverpool, he bought the whole 300 bales for a small sum, and toiled diligently till proper machinery was made for the new material. The result was a great success. In 3 years, over 2 million pounds of alpaca wool were imported, and now 4 million pounds are brought to Bradford alone. Employment was soon furnished to thousands, laborers coming from all over Great Britain and Germany. 10 years later, Mr. Salt was made Mayor of Bradford. 10 years after this, a Member of Parliament, and 10 years later still a baronet by Queen Victoria. A great change from the boy in his soiled coarse blouse, but he deserved it all. He was a remarkable man in many ways. Even when worth his millions and giving lavishly on every hand, he would save blank leaves and scraps of paper for writing, and lay them aside for future use. He was an early riser, always at the works before the engines were started. It used to be said of him, "Titus Salt makes 1,000 pounds before others are out of bed." He was punctual to the minute, most exact, and unostentatious. After he was knighted, it was no uncommon thing for him to take a poor woman and her baby in the carriage beside him, or a tired workman, or scatter hundreds of tracts in a village where he happened to be. Once a gypsy, not knowing who he was, asked him to buy a broom. To her astonishment, he bought all she was carrying. The best of his acts, one which he had thought out carefully, as he said, to do good to his fellow men, was the building of Saltaire for his 4,000 workmen. When asked once what he had been reading of late, he replied, "Alpaca. If you had 4,000 or 5,000 people to provide for every day, you would not have much time left for reading." Saltaire is a beautiful place on the banks of the River Aire, clean and restful. In the center of the town stands the great 6-story mill, well ventilated, lighted, and warmed, 545 feet long, of light-colored stone, costing over $500,000. The 4 engines of 1,800 horsepower consume 15,000 tons of coal per year. The weaving shed, covering 2 acres, holds 1,200 looms, which make 18 miles of fabric per day. The homes of the workpeople are an honor to the capitalist. They are of light stone, like the mill, 2 stories high, each containing parlor, kitchen, pantry, and 3 bedrooms or more, well ventilated and tasteful. Flower beds are in every front yard, with a vegetable garden in the rear. No broken carts or rubbish are to be seen. Not satisfied to make Saltaire simply healthful, by proper sanitary measures, and beautiful, for which Napoleon III made him one of the Legion of Honor, Mr. Salt provided school buildings at a cost of $200,000, a congregational church costing $80,000, Italian in style, as are the other buildings, a hospital for sick or injured, and 45 pretty almshouses, like Italian villas, where the aged and infirm have a comfortable home. Each married man and his wife receive $2.50 weekly, and each single man or woman $1.87 for expenses. Once a year Mr. Salt and his family used to take tea with the inmates, which was a source of great delight. Believing that indoor washing is most pernicious and a fruitful source of disease, especially to the young, he built 24 baths at a cost of $35,000 and public washhouses. These are supplied with 3 steam engines and 6 washing machines. Each person bringing clothes is provided with a rubbing and boiling tub, into which steam and hot and cold water are conveyed by pipes. The clothes are dried by hot air and can be washed, dried, mangled, and folded in an hour. In Sweden, I found the same dislike to having washing done in the homes, and clothes are usually carried to the public washhouses. Perhaps the most interesting of all Mr. Salt's gifts to his workmen is the Saltaire Club and Institute, costing $125,000. A handsome building with large reading rooms supplied with daily papers and current literature, a library, lecture hall for 800 persons, a school of art with models, drawings, and good teachers, a billiard room with 4 tables, a room for scientific study, each student having proper appliances for laboratory work, a gymnasium and drill room nearly 60 feet square, an armory for rifle practice, and a smoking room, though Mr. Salt did not smoke. The membership fee for all this study and recreation is only 37 cents for each 3 months. Opposite the great mill is a dining hall, where a plate of meat can be purchased for 4 cents, a bowl of soup for 2 cents, and a cup of tea or coffee for 1 cent. If the men prefer to bring their own food, it is cooked free of charge. The manager has a fixed salary so that there is no temptation to scrimp the buyers. Still another gift was made to the workpeople: a park of 14 acres with croquet and archery grounds, music pavilion, places for boating and swimming, and walks with beautiful flowers. No saloon has ever been allowed in Saltaire. Without the temptation of the beer shops, the boys have grown to intelligent manhood, and the girls to virtuous womanhood. Sir Titus Salt's last gift to his workmen was a Sunday school building costing $50,000, where are held the model Sunday schools of the country, say those who have attended the meetings. No wonder, at the death of this man, 40,000 people came to his burial: members of Parliament, clergymen, workingmen's unions, and ragged schools. No wonder that statues have been erected to his memory, and that thousands go every year to Saltaire to see what one capitalist has done for his laborers. No fear of strikes in his workshops, no socialism talked in the clean and pretty homes of the men, no squalid poverty, no depraving ignorance. That capital is feeling its responsibility in this matter of homes for laborers is one of the hopeful signs of the times. We shall come some time to believe with the late President Chadbourne. The rule now commonly acted upon is that business must be cared for, and men must care for themselves. The principle of action in the end must be that men must be cared for, and business must be subservient to this great work. If, as Spurgeon has well said, home is the grandest of all institutions, capital can do no better work than look to the homes of the laborer. It is not the mansion which the employer builds for himself, but the home which he builds for his employee, which will ensure a safe country for his children to dwell in. If discontent and poverty surround his palace, its foundations are weak. If intelligence has been disseminated, and comfort promoted by his unselfish thought for others, then he leaves a goodly heritage for his children. End of Chapter 13. Recording by Pamela Krantz.